So I've built a lot of cutting boards over the past few years, and even though many of them are pretty neat, I always was left wondering, how could I make the next one with even more depth? Well, one day when I was scrolling through some 3D drawings on the internet, I came across one that really grabbed my eye, and I knew I had to give it a shot turning it into a cutting board. So without further ado, let's jump into the shop and see how it goes. Alright, so now all these scrap pieces, they have a flat surface and one edge. So we're going to take them all out of the bandsaw and just rip them down here, get them closer to their thicknesses. Also, if at the end of this video you decide you want to give this board a go, I'll have the plans available for purchase through the link in the description. Here, I'm resawing all the boards a fraction thicker than I wanted my final thickness so that I could sand them down to what I wanted later. Then, after what felt like hours of resawing, I ran everything through the drum sander to take it down to its finished thickness, being careful not to drop any of the boards causing potential ding. Good job. Unfortunately, when designing the pattern, I wasn't able to get all dimensions to be nice numbers. And although, while this might look worse on paper, it's not actually any different than having to cut something at, say, 8 millimeters, since I'd still have to take that out to 2 decimal points, being 8.00. With all the boards sanded down, I began ripping them to their various widths. This is when I also chopped some of the longer boards into smaller sections to accommodate the different widths I need to cut. Then it was back to cutting more strips, and more strips, followed by even more. And just when I thought I had finished, I remembered I did actually need some more pieces that were a little thicker that I hadn't milled up yet, so I quickly cut those as well. And with that, the milling was done. That was a lot of work getting this many pieces milled up, but with that out of the way, now we can go and cut angles onto all the sides, and then we can actually start putting it together into the pattern. And hopefully this will work and this wasn't all for nothing. With that great boost of confidence, I cut up some MDF that I had from a past project to create a mold to help with clamping some awkward shapes. Then came what was certainly the most monotonous part of this project, cutting all of the angled edges onto the pieces. In the last step, I had already ripped everything to their final width, so when cutting the angles, I made sure the blade followed right along the top edge without actually cutting into the fence. For the bulk of the pieces, I was able to cut the one edge, flip the board 180 degrees around the Z-axis, and then cut the other. But things got a little trickier when it came to the triangular pieces. What I ended up doing was cutting one edge and then rotating it just like before, but this meant after the second cut there wouldn't be a flat surface as it was running along a pointed edge. To accommodate this, I would shut the saw off mid-cut right before the blade went all the way through. Now, I'm sure this wasn't the safest, and it certainly did not give the cleanest cuts, so if anyone has suggestions on cutting triangles, please let me know down in the comments. Then back to the mold, I glued the angled pieces on top of the flat base. With all these pieces cut to shape, the rest should be smooth sailing. But before gluing anything up, I wanted to test how well everything went together, and was not thrilled to see this. After contemplating the last few hours spent ripping all these pieces, I realized the issue wasn't actually with my angle, but it appeared some of the boards were still a hair too thick. I made sure to sand on the narrower side of the pieces, as the other side would cause a change in the width. Then another quick test of the pieces, much to my relief, showed the problem was solved. Now this is where the mold previously made comes into play. Instead of trying to glue up so many pieces at once, I can glue up a number of different patterns into these triangular shapes. Then I can later clamp the triangles together to complete the pattern. Now, to prevent glue squeeze out from gluing any of my pieces into the mold, I used some tuck tape along the sides of the mold and on the top board I was using to press it in. Pictured below are the 6 different triangular patterns that will go together to form the hexagon. Once they were dry, I used one of the molds with a backstop on one end so I could carefully clean up the faces on the drum sander. With the surfaces cleaned, I laid them out in the correct order and used masking tape to act as hinges, allowing me to more easily fold them up during the glue up. To clamp it, I used hose clamps with some thin sacrificial pieces to prevent denting the project piece. This worked pretty well, but after almost gluing the sacrificial pieces to the project, I put some of that tuck tape along those as well so as to not run into this problem again. I ended up gluing 4 hexagon sections, each composed of the 6 triangular patterns. This was followed by then flushing up the ends on all of the hexagons. And then my original plan was to clean up the surfaces at the drum sander just like I did for the triangles. But as you can see, they don't exactly fit. So after some consideration on what to do next, I decided to very carefully run them through the planer, rotating the hexagon each pass, just barely scraping the surface. This was definitely a lot more stressful than it would have been if I could have used the drum sander, but in the end it did the job and we don't have to start over from the beginning. With the surfaces cleaned up, it was over to the bandsaw to cut the sections into slices to be arranged and glued up. After arranging them, I decided to cut the 4 hexagons on the ends in half to make clamping it all together easier. I did this over at the bandsaw. Giving me this arrangement. I then filled up my brand new glue bowl and started spreading glue all over the pieces. I had already tested my clamping method before applying any glue and found it worked pretty well to use 2 boards with clamps on the ends to apply pressure lengthwise and then squeeze the bar from the 2 clamps widthwise to apply pressure in the opposite direction. Once it was out of the clamp, I noticed there was a small amount of rocking, so before drum sanding, I added a few layers of tape to shim the low spots and eliminate any movement that it had. Then, once the top side was flat, I could remove the shims, flip it over, and flatten the other side. At the table saw, I chopped off the protruding parts of the board for a nice clean edge. For the ends, I used a miter gauge with a sacrificial wood fence to extend the surface. I then spent a lot of time sanding to remove the marks from the drum sander, and then gave the edges a small round over. And now for what is probably everybody's favorite part. Going into this project, I had no idea if this was going to work or not, but I'm pleased to say it exceeded my expectations. Now, let's check out the finished board. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. If you got anything out of it, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below and I will do my best to get back to you.